Hi guys, and welcome back to Shay's Country Kitchen. Today we are going to prepare this ooey gooey caramel apple cake, and it is absolutely delicious. So me and my kids go apple picking every year, and this year I decided I would do something different. So we're going to start by slicing our apples so that we can make stewed apples that we will then puree and actually add to our cake batter. So for this many apples, you absolutely want to utilize one of these apple slicing devices, because let me tell you, peeling these was enough work. By the time I finished peeling these apples and slicing these apples, I did not want to see another apple, but it's all worth it. So after you get finished cutting and slicing all of your apples, you do need to go ahead and get the pot ready so that you can stew them. So in a large pot, you want to go ahead and melt down some butter and then add all of your apples to the pot. So after you add those to the pot, you just want to quickly stir them so you can kind of incorporate the actual butter. Then you want to add here your brown sugar. You also want to add your white sugar and any seasonings that you want to put in. I like to add vanilla as well as cinnamon and a little bit of nutmeg and allspice. So just think of it as like apple pie in a pot. So after you add all of that, you want to go ahead and mix all of that up together. So just with a spatula, just try to incorporate everything so that it's all incorporated and ready to simmer. It's time to stew these apples. Put a lid on the pot and let it stew for about 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, your apples should look like this. Absolutely delicious and like apple pie without the crust. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on over to the actual cake. So in my blender, I'm gonna go ahead and get my butter and my sugar cream together. Now guys, I absolutely love to bake. I grew up in the house with my grandmother and she was a baker. So this is something that I like to say is in my actual blood. So it's just relaxing to me and I thoroughly love it, and I definitely like to see people's faces once they get a piece of my actual cake. After your butter has been creaming for a while, you do want to go ahead and start to add your sugar. I like to actually add mine in a steady stream until it's all incorporated. Now you should be able to tell when your sugar and your butter has creamed well enough, because it will start to actually pull away from the sides of the actual mixing bowl. At this time, you want to go ahead and start incorporating your eggs. I like to add my eggs 2 at a time and let it blend for 30 seconds after each addition. That way you fully incorporate those eggs and they are beaten well. So you actually want to beat them for roughly about 5 minutes, because you want to look for the color change. It'll go from a dark yellow to a very light airy yellow, and it's at this point that you actually want to think about adding your flour and your liquid mixture. Now, just before you get ready to add your actual flour and your milk to the batter, don't forget to scrape down the actual sides of the pan, because you do want to make sure everything is incorporated. Then you want to knock down that speed to the stir mode, because who wants flour all over yourself and your countertops? We want the flour to be in the batter. So make sure you start with flour, then alternate with your actual milk mixture, flour, milk, and then you end with flour. And you don't want to actually beat on high at this time, because you don't want to overwork the batter, because who wants an actual tough cake? Now that everything is fully incorporated, we're gonna go ahead and shut the blender off, knock off the excess flour that didn't actually make it into the batter so that we can go ahead and incorporate that. You wanna make sure also that you scrape around the edge of the blender because again, you just wanna make sure that you get everything fully incorporated so that we can go ahead and get ready to add these pureed apples that's gonna really make this the apple cake. Now it's time to bake these cakes. So in two 8-inch cake pans that I have floured and, or I should say greased and floured, I'm gonna add equal parts batter to each pan and then adjust for any air bubbles just by tapping it on the counter or using a knife to just zigzag through to release any air bubbles. Now on to baking these cakes. So in a 350-degree oven, you want to put them on the middle rack, which is in the middle of the oven, 1 inch apart, and bake until the cakes pull away from the sides of the pan. While my cake is baking, I'm going to utilize this time to caramelize me some apple slices that I'm going to utilize on the cake. So here I've melted about 2 tablespoons of butter and a little dark brown sugar, and I'm just going to incorporate these and then add the apple slices and really glaze them until they are soft but not mushy on both sides. So as you can see here, the apples are very shiny and glazed. You don't want them candied, so you do want to look for this like slightly glaze over them so that they're shiny. This will let you know that these apples are ready and done. So guys, this cake does have several steps. So the last thing that we have to make is the caramel for the actual top of the cake. So in a medium saucepan, I have added my sugar, and this is just some water that I'm adding to the actual sugar. My pot is off at this time. I will not turn it on until all the sugar has been added. You want to wait until you see the sugar and water mixture bubbling like you do see it here. At this time, look out for an actual amber color to some of the actual spots in the sugar. So here I'm just wiping down the sides of the actual pan. This is so there's no crystallization that's occurring on the side of the pan. As you all can see here, there's a little bit of ambering color in the sugar. This is what you want to look for. Once you start to see this, start to move the sugar around. Here, it's been cooking for a while and you can really start to see the amber color. And then here you can see that it's the actual amber color that you want. At this point, take it off of the heat before you start to add your heavy cream because you don't want to burn yourself. And be very cautious here, guys. This is really hot. In this picture, my hands were on fire. So be very, very careful, please, because I don't want you burning yourself. But just continue to mix. This is going to be very important. Continue to mix. This is how you get your caramel. And voila! Here is your actual caramel. It looks absolutely beautiful. Now we're just gonna put it in the sieves just to make sure there's no lumps or clumps in anything. And we're just gonna pour it over our butter here. And once we get it poured, we're just gonna incorporate it and your caramel is done. You just have to let it cool. Okay guys, this is my absolute favorite part of decorating cakes. I just absolutely love it. I may be crazy, but I just get a complete sense of calmness while I'm actually decorating. So here you want to just what we call tort the actual cake, which is just taking off the top of the cake so that it is level. You want to do this to both 8-inch cakes that you do have, because you do want them to stack up pretty nicely. You can eyeball this or you can use a ruler. I didn't have time to use a ruler, so I just eyeballed it and it's just fine with me. Now for the fun part, it's time to layer the cake. I absolutely, again, I just love this part. But add your caramel and drizzle as much as you want or as little as you want. But remember guys, this is caramel apple cake, so I say go for it. Throw all your calorie counting out of the window. Now let's go ahead and get the apple slices layered on. Now, just a little FYI, you may want to cut these just a little thinner than I did. I wasn't thinking about that, but hey, it's fine. It'll work. Just layer them on. You can make them pretty, or it doesn't have to be in an actual design, but just get them on there and in the actual caramel. Now guys, this is gonna get really messy. As you can see, it's already starting to kind of drizzle down the side, and that's what you want, but be careful because the apples are going to move a little bit because, you know, it is caramel and it is liquid. Stack your next one, or I should say your next layer of cake on top, but flip it so that your smooth side is on the top. Now add more caramel, a lot of caramel or a little caramel, but just add the caramel guys. And you want to spread it evenly because again, this is the top, so you kind of want it to be a little prettier than the layer that's in between the actual cake. Now again, this is caramel. I don't know if you could get pretty caramel. Again, it's gonna get really messy, but guys, this cake is so good. When I tell you so good, I mean, it literally is apple pie plus caramel apple all in one cake. Well guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you really enjoyed the caramel apple cake. I know my family did. Let me know if you guys would like to see me cook any additional recipes like this. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give me thumbs up if you like this. Thanks so much for stopping by Shay's Country Kitchen.